The Audi R8. This is the supercar that changed what it means to be a supercar, in that it became known as the first everyday daily driving supercar. I'm Jay, and welcome to the latest episode of Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews. Now, before I get started, I want to thank Audi of Sacramento, which is part of the Nilo company, for letting Car Buzz come on down and film today. So the Audi R8, I know a lot of you are very familiar with this car. It's very recognizable, but I want to give you a brief history of it first. Now, it came out back in 2007, and it just blew everybody away, not only because of its looks, but also because, as I said, it is the first everyday supercar. Now, other people think of it as the starter supercar. It drives like a normal Audi, so you don't have to have any previous supercar ownership experience to get behind the wheel of this thing and feel completely at ease. And the buying public who could at least afford this car, they responded in kind, and Audi they were taking so many orders for them that in the 2007, 2008 model years, they just sold out immediately, almost from the moment it went on sale. Now, like every single Audi interior, and if you've ever been in an Audi, you understand what I'm talking about here. I always think that Audis, they set the benchmark for the perfect interior. The fit and finish, the build materials are beyond perfect. Even the smallest little details that you wouldn't even think that mattered, such as the dials for the climate controller made out of metal. There are no cheap plastics. It's all soft touch materials. There's a lot of carbon fiber in the R8, obviously, because, again, this is still considered a supercar, even if it is a starter supercar. Now, this interior here, this is black with beige stitching with Napa leather seat trim. That costs an extra $5,000. The door sills are in carbon fiber. There's also an MP3 multi-disc player, premium sound system, Sirius XM radio, navigation, and Bluetooth. Again, everyday creature comforts that make driving the R8 an absolute pleasure, even in heavy traffic. Just look at that diamond stitching, not only on the doors, but also on the seats as well. Again, the little details, they add up and they just create a work of art. Now, this particular Audi R8, this is the 2015 R8 V10 Plus. This is obviously the part of the first generation of the R8s. The second generation came out not long after this car was built for the 2016 model year. But I think I still like the first generation Audi R8 better, at least exterior looks wise. And I'll talk more about that when we have more exterior shots coming up. But the interior, it's very driver focused, as you can see. The steering wheel, it is perfectly sized. And here is the heart of it all. This is a 5.2 liter V10 engine. It's got a total of 550 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. Now, the plus in V10 Plus, it refers to the extra 25 horsepower Audi managed to squeeze out of this engine compared to the standard R8 V10. And it's paired to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic with manual mode shifting, and it also offers launch control. Now, this was also a $7,800 option over the standard 6-speed manual. But what's good is that it replaces the previous automatic transmission. It was called R-tronic, but it was a very clunky gearbox, and it was just, the shifts were too slow for a car of this caliber. But let's start up the engine here for a second. Wait, listen. Alright, so let's talk performance. Now, you're going to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds, quarter mile, 11.4 seconds at 126 miles per hour. And you're going to go to a top speed of 197 miles per hour in this thing. Fuel economy is actually quite good, considering it can go nearly 200 miles per hour. 13 miles per gallon in the city, 22 miles per gallon on the highway. And this weighs a total of just under 3,700 pounds. And just like any Audi, Audi is known for its quattro all-wheel drive system. And the power is sent to all four wheels through that 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Now, why is an all-wheel drive supercar sometimes preferable as opposed to a standard rear-wheel drive supercar? Well, the handling is a little bit different. It grips the road even tighter, and again, it can also handle more difficult road conditions such as heavy rain. It can do some driving in the snow, but again, it's got a very low riding height, and well, you can get stuck in the snow if you're not careful. Now, some other interesting facts I want to share with you about the first generation Audi R8. It was actually built on the same platform as the Lamborghini Gallardo. Now, today's R8, it's built on a modified version of this platform, which it also shares a lot with the Gallardo's successor, the Lamborghini Huracan. But there were a total of 26,000 of first-generation R8s made. Now, compared to 14,000 Gallardos, and the Gallardo to this day was the best-selling Lamborghini of all time. Just so that you know, Lamborghini and Audi are both part of the same parent company, Volkswagen Group. That is why they both share this 5.2-liter V10 and the base platform. Now, to build the first generation R8, Audi had 70 specially trained employees fit 5,000 parts by hand at a special factory in Germany. And typically, only 8 to 15 R8s were produced in a single day, but the maximum daily output was 29 cars. And get this, a total of 95 lasers inspected the entire car in less than 5 seconds to ensure that over 220 measurements were within 0.1 millimeters of the programmed planes. And that right there is Audi precision. Now, something else about the first generation R8 that I think you'll appreciate, it was the first production car with full LED headlamps. Now you're seeing LED headlamps on, well, pretty much every production car these days. It's almost a standard feature. But this car, it was the first to have them. And again, because this is also an everyday driver, it has a lot of the standard safety features you would expect. Backup camera, dual front airbags, side airbags, head curtain airbags, hill hold assist control, traction electronic stability control, four-wheel ABS brakes with standard carbon ceramic brakes. Again, you have that because this is the Plus model, the carbon ceramic brakes. Some people like having carbon ceramic, others feel they're, well, too sensitive. It just depends on your personal driving style. And you'll notice just by how that seat adjusts, again, this thing is meant for anyone to be able to drive it. You don't have to have gone to driving school or own any previous high-performance vehicle of any sort in order to be able to, well, not get into a serious accident with the R8. And that was the genius to this car, and Audi recognized that there was a market for such a type of supercar out there. And I know a lot of R8 owners have either replaced their R8s with the just introduced second generation that happened in Geneva last March, or they're even going on to, say, the Lamborghini Huracan. And the trunk space, well, let's call it the frunk because it's up front. It's actually decent. Again, this is a two-seater, so it's unlike the Porsche 911. There is no small rear seat to put a couple of bags. But this frunk it's deep enough, and you can get a couple of suitcases in here okay. So what is some of the competition to the first generation Audi R8? Well, as I already mentioned, there was the Lamborghini Gallardo, which was pretty much its sister ship. And there was also the Ferrari 458 Italia, which has since been replaced by the 488 GTB. But the 458 Italia, like the R8, had a naturally aspirated engine. There was also the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG, also naturally aspirated, and of course the Porsche 911 Turbo, which was also all-wheel drive, but just like any other 911, the 911 Turbo, it has different driving characteristics than the Audi R8. But let's take a look at this exterior here. It's painted in what they call brilliant red, and the car has mid-engine supercar dimensions. And I always really, really like that. You don't have quite as long of a hood. It's just a much more balanced looking car. And it was designed by now retired VW Group design boss Walter De Silva, and he was also in charge of designing the first generation Audi A5 Coupe and Cabrio. Now, I really also like these 19-inch 5 double-spoke wheels with the titanium finish. There's a carbon fiber front splitter. The outside mirrors and those side blades you see right there, those are also made from carbon fiber, as well as the rear diffuser. And speaking of those side blades, what I love about this first generation R8 are those side blades. If you look at the second generation car, they're really not there anymore. And I think that's a shame, because those side blades, some either loved them or hated them, but it became the car's signature styling mark. And again, it was something different that Audi brought to the supercar table. And I always appreciate something different. And even though this car was designed, back in 2006, 2007, it still looks modern. It's exotic looking. And that right there shows how far thinking Audi was at the time. And of course, it was refreshed, the first generation R8, back in 2012. And as a 2015 model, the styling still looks great. Now, the brand new Audi R8 V10 Plus. So that has actually the same engine as this car, but it has a little more power. 610 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. Again, this car, 550 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. So an extra 60 horsepower and a bit more torque. What does that mean? Audi is more confident in itself in building a supercar, and it feels that, well, look, we can now play the game against the likes of Ferrari and Lamborghini with more confidence than ever. Consider the first generation R8 as sort of a trial run, and it passed the test. So pricing, this particular Audi R8 V10 Plus goes for $150,000. The new R8 V10 Plus, just to let you know, costs around $200,000. So if you're willing to get a car that's about a year or so old, this is one hell of an incredible bargain. Who cares that the new one has 60 horsepower or more? You can still 550 horsepower, and you can still go nearly 200 miles per hour in this thing. Save yourself some money. That's $50,000 you're saving. Think what you can buy with that. And I think what I like most about this car is just the interior design. As I keep saying, it's held up over the years. It just still looks great. You have that typical Audi interior build quality. This car is very easy to handle around town, and yet when you hit the gas, it just takes off. And what I also really like is the new dual clutch transmission, and that is literally the same dual clutch that's in the second generation R8. And I'm really happy that Audi replaced that old semi-automatic with a dual clutch. This is the transmission this car has long deserved. Now, what I don't like is that the ride is probably not as smooth as it should be, and like any supercar, with the probable sole exception of Ferrari, they do depreciate kind of fast. Now, also something for you to know is that the V10 model, it doesn't handle quite as well as the V8 R8, which is powered by a 4.2-liter V8 with 424 horsepower and 318 pound-feet of torque. Again, it weighs less, so the power-to-weight ratio is a little more in the driver's favor for performance driving. But no matter what, with an Audi R8, whether it is an older model or the brand new second generation one, you can't go wrong. Fantastic Audi build quality, great driving, and a supercar that's going to just age incredibly well, at least design-wise. So I'm out of time, everyone. Thanks for watching. Any questions for me, leave them in the comment section below. Any suggestions for future reviews, also leave those in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe to the Car Buzz Unboxing YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next unboxing review. Thanks for watching.